Good day here at the Dene Nation Youth Leadership Summit, Arctic Youth Leadership Summit on climate justice, speaking with Kira. Hey, you. So just a couple of questions I wanted to ask you about your experience here at the gathering. One of them being, what's your thoughts on the proposal for the Mackenzie Valley Gas Project coming back, and how do you feel about that? What do you think needs to be done?
Wow. Okay. Well, what are my thoughts? My thoughts are no. My thoughts are, why is it that we are allowing projects of this magnitude to even be proposed? We think about how our people had to come together 30 years ago during the Berger inquiry. You know, how we were able to make such a monumental movement and to make history in the history of consultation that was initiated by, by Canada.
So, what do you think though about this recent huge victory of Native Americans and First Nations and ranchers and all kinds of different people that came together and stopped the United States from building the Keystone XL pipeline, or allowing the Keystone XL pipeline to connect the tar sands to the Gulf of Mexico? Because the Mackenzie Valley pipeline, if that's built, it's of the same magnitude in terms of size. It's a $17 billion pipeline. So what's your message, I guess, to people who are concerned about it like you are? Given the recent victory.
I would say that miracles do happen. You know, don't listen to what the people in government or the media are saying to us when they're saying that there's no way around stopping a project of this magnitude. It's happened before. Here it has happened once again, and hopefully this will inspire people to recognize that we do have a voice, that our voices are important, and we've proven it. With regards to the pipeline, they postponed it 30 years ago because the people of then and they had stood up against it, and the government agreed that a project of that magnitude was very it was not, like, the people of then and they were not ready for a project of that magnitude because of the social impacts, the environmental impacts, the cultural impacts, the animal, the wildlife, everything. One of the main contributing factors was the permafrost discussion, and that's still a hot topic that they haven't been able to find a solution for. To my brothers and sisters downstream, way to go. If you may or may not know, the Athabascan people from Fort Chipewyan were accepted into the Dene Nation Confederacy this past year at the Dene Assembly, which was pretty awesome because they have the experience right now. They're experiencing what it is to live firsthand downstream from such a toxic man-made project, and yet here we are further downstream and we're starting to see the remnants of these toxic factors, I guess, that the general public is really ignorant to because the media is portraying this as such a necessity. When I can get into very heated discussions with individuals when I'm proposing my ideas around the pipeline, which is I'm not in favor of it whatsoever. You can find my minutes online from the hearings, my presentations. And why am I against it? I'm against it because I want to have children someday. I want my children to be able to drink the water. I want my children to be able to harvest the foods and berries and plants and animals that our people were able to do since time immemorial. Why is it that the Indigenous people are always being put on the back burner when it comes down to this infrastructure that is so badly needed? Why is it that we don't take that money and start investing it into healthier, more renewable sources of energy? My elders told me that they promised us as long as the grass grows, the river flows, and the sun shines. But if they stop the grass from growing, stop the rivers from flowing, and stop the sun from shining, that's when we have to stand up and we have to speak on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. This Keystone protest, that really moved me, and I put my heart out there, and gratitude to all the warriors from whichever direction of the circle they may have came from who stood up. This is proof that the prophecies are coming forth. The Rainbow Tribe, the awakening is occurring. People are awakening to recognize that we cannot just continue to allow these multi-billion-dollar corporations and these governments to just walk over us anymore. You know, it's not fair. And the more that we start to educate people on the actualities and the realities of these types of projects, I really believe in my heart and soul that this movement is just going to continue to snowball and move on and on. You know, we were talking about this prophecy of the seventh fire, about the two paths. Well, I really believe, because I've been seeing it from people from every direction of the circle, regardless of which direction of the circle these two-legged, these humans are coming out with their voice and their passion. It doesn't matter, because without them, the circle would not be whole. We have to recognize that this is far surpassing just an Indigenous problem. This is a human problem. We look at what type of legislation has just been put into place on an international level with regards to water rights, and we ask ourselves, is it really smart then therefore to be continuing with these tar sands extractions, with these non-renewable resource extractions that are slowing out our freshwater lakes, leaving them for killing ponds, that are poisoning our waters and our animals and our plants? Is this really worth it in the years to come? And it makes me think about a Cree proverb that states, you know, only when the last river is poisoned, only when the last tree is cut down, only when the last fish is fished will we realize money cannot be eaten. But it is by the Indigenous people and the grassroots people and the people who are actually out there utilizing that land and those resources in a good way that are going to be able to come and bring forward the truth. Because we look at people who are coming from rural areas, like where we come from in the north here, as opposed to people who come from larger centers like Toronto, Edmonton, Vancouver, Ottawa, regardless. And they come to the north and everybody's so moved, because we may come from a cold atmosphere, but our hearts are warm, our people are warm, and we're very welcoming. And, you know, we're going to do what we need to do as this generation to ensure that our lands are protected for the future generations. You know, the youth have not had their last words, and whether or not our leaders and our elders are still on this wavelength, we're still going to continue to persevere towards the truth and advocating that truth, and that is that this project is not worth it. In the overall spectrum of what we're going to be losing, it's not worth it. So we need to come together, and we need to utilize our voices and our strengths to ensure that that truth is spoken. Because it starts with you, and it starts with me, and it begins with us, and it continues with us.
Well, thank you very much.
Merci, Joe.